Your local newscasts, though, they should be about what's happening here locally. And it's not about big ideas on the national or global stage. It's about what's happening in your neighborhood. It's about what's happening in your school boards and your city council. It's about your neighbor that happens to be running for an office or for a seat. We all live here. We're your neighbors. We live here. We have a stake in it. We care. It's important to us that what we're covering matters. Mm-hmm. And not every story is going to matter to everyone every day.
Glad to have you. I'm Carter Simoneaux, host of AcadianaCasts Presents. If you want to make podcasts like this or other types of digital content, go to AcadianaCasts.com to see our full list of services. Full content production company based right here in South Louisiana. Also, if you like the show, go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, wherever you're checking this show out. Now, today is a special episode because I can officially announce that AcadianaCasts Presents is now officially a part of the KLFY team. Carter Simoneaux has gone full circle from working for the news to going independent to now kind of partnering with the news. KLFY is launching this new platform. They have launched it. It's called KLFY Plus. Some of our older episodes have been currently on there, so if you're watching us on KLFY Plus and you've seen some of our older stuff, I guess this is the official real hello to you guys. AcadianaCasts Presents for the first 52 episodes. It's evolved actually pretty gradually over time. And all it really started as a way is for me to kind of promote, some of the things that AcadianaCasts does. This business I started with, this show being the flagship show of AcadianaCasts, but ultimately it's what I wanted to do content-wise. What I for those who don't know, if you're a new watcher listener, I started in the local news industry, working for News 15, and was a reporter. Did the morning show as a morning anchor, co-anchoring with the great Alex Horstel. Love you, Alex. But the industry wasn't for me, and I wanted to do something for myself and create my own things. And so I left and started AcadianaCasts, and this show was a part of it. But what I loved about working for the local news was just falling in love with Acadiana and going to these small little towns all over the place and really falling in love with the culture. I'm from South Louisiana. I'm from Covington, on the North Shore of New Orleans, but came here in 2012. Went to UL, graduated there. So I've always kind of loved South Louisiana culture, but really fell in love with the people here, and I wanted to tell their stories. And I like the kind of long-form conversation where you get to really know someone. But as the show has evolved, I found that some of the things that people were most fascinated about was just, South Louisiana, especially folks who weren't from here, from some of the social media clips, talking to the Jordan Thibodeaus of the world about Cajun and Creole culture, or Dr. Barry Anselay. And so as the show has evolved, now with this new KLFY Plus partnership, as delivering cool content you guys' way, wherever you're getting this show, I want to kind of bring that South Louisiana angle to it. So I'm still working with the form. You'll kind of see in this episode me experimenting with it. But today's episode is kind of that first real one in this kind of new era of AcadianaCasts Presents. So I'm excited. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your 53rd time taking in the show, thank you so much, Mom and Dad and Nanny. And if there's any other you that I'm forgetting, I just know my family members, those three for sure, have seen and listened to every episode. So love the support and excited to kind of grow this product and have these conversations, authentic conversations where we get to remind folks that we're more similar than we are different, especially here in South Louisiana. And I'm talking to, musicians, chefs, athletes, business owners, anyone who can kind of tell that story about Acadiana and South Louisiana as a whole, whether it's things that we're dealing with in the economy or hurricanes, some maybe more difficult topics. I want to talk with folks about that, but also figure out the person who comes on the show, where are they coming from in all this? Where'd they grow up? Are they from here? Did they fall in love with this area? Did they leave and come back? How'd they grow up? Did they dust their crawfish, the important questions and the things that we all really want to know about these folks. But so anytime you guys are interested in people who you would like to see on the show, send them my way. Send an email to info@AcadianaCasts.com. Reach out to us on social media, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or one of the other ones, Facebook, who knows. Figure it out. It's AcadianaCasts. It should pop up. I've got decent SEO, I think, at this point, hopefully. If not, someone's about to get fired. That person would be me because I'm a one-man show. But I'm not really a one-man show. I've got a great support team around me. One of those is John Williams with Love of People, today's sponsor. We're going to learn a little bit. If this is your first time listener watching the show, you'll learn a little bit about Love of People and some of the things that they do, specifically their Blue Monday mission, a great show coming up. And speaking of great shows, today's guest is Chris Cook. I had the pleasure of working with Chris back at News 15, and so it's cool to work with him again. He's seen it, been there, done that in the broadcast industry, and he's one of the ones pushing to do this whole KLFY Plus and get into the streaming era and give people options when it comes to their content. Not everyone has rabbit ears anymore. A lot of people still do, and God bless them. But, many people want to get their local information in different ways when they want it. And I think KLFY Plus is going to be a great avenue to do that, while also showcasing local content creators such as myself and AcadianaCasts and all the things that we're kind of working on. And so it's going to be this collaborative effort, and I'm excited about that. And I'm excited for you guys to check out this episode with Chris Cook. Finally, one of the things that I want to start doing with this show, and what I've been told to do by several other people, and if you can't tell by my rambling, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. I'm more used to just talking with folks and kind of letting them tell their story. I'm not used to telling my story, especially just directly to a camera. So hopefully this gets a little easier. I want to kind of start the show, each episode this way, kind of talk about like some of the things that I'm doing in my life in South Louisiana. And so you guys kind of get to know me and trust me when I'm bringing on these people. And kind of telling their stories. Hopefully you like what you see. If you don't, be nice, I guess. Or, leave an ugly comment, or maybe constructive criticism, I think is a healthy way. Maybe I mispronounced a word or said the same thing 3 times in a row. I might have done it in this cold open. I don't know. Just let me know. In a positive way. If not, I got thick skin. I let it roll off me. But with all that being said, happy to be a part of KLFY Plus. Happy about this new era. Hope you enjoy this episode with Chris Cook. To top off the show, I announced that AcadianaCasts is going to be one of the first independent media programs on the new KLFY Plus.
Love it, man. Glad you're joining the family. This is going to be great.
I know, and it's glad to work with you again. We worked previously at our time at News 15 a few years ago. You went off to Indiana. I went off on my own. You came back. You're now at KLFY as the general manager. How's it been since you've been back? Just all gas, no brakes?
Oh, 100%. You're building the airplane in the air. You're drinking water from a fire hose. All of those fun sayings that you want to stitch onto a pillow. Mm-hmm. We're doing all of it all the time. It's a lot of fun to be back, and it's fun to be back at Channel 10. I mean, I kind of grew up there. I started there back in 1997, right out of high school.
Wow.
And so yeah, like it's cool to be back where where all the hallways go. It's nice to be back in a town where where the roads take you, and it's fun to be building stuff in town.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into KLFY Plus and the future of local TV in just a little bit. But as I kind of mentioned to you off air, kind of changing the format of the show, we're adding segments. We're actually making it a show, Chris. And so I kind of wanted to do little things different. It's AcadianaCasts Presents is the name of the show, and there's obviously a South Louisiana hook that comes with this. And a lot of the conversations I've had, the clips that have come from it, the ones that have done the best, is anyone who's get any sort of take about South Louisiana, because everyone's grandmother taught them differently or whatever. And just between New Orleans and Lafayette, there's these rivalries in Baton Rouge area and North Louisiana, which we don't ever talk about. But
okay, I'm from Pineville. I won't take that personally. It's fine.
He's from Natchitoches over there. So
thank you. Right.
But so we're just going to kind of weave through different kind of Louisiana themes throughout it, but also get to know you as a person and what you do, and also talk about, like we said, the future of KLFY. Mm-hmm. So if you're ready to get started, let's get to it, huh?
Rock and roll.
Well, the first segments, and of course, it's the first time, the names are they might be changed. And if you have any ideas, let me know. But as of right now, the first one's called the South Louisiana Starter Pack. Just some light questions, some icebreakers, kind of get us into the mood and talking.
Shake off the rust. I
Right.
dig it. Okay.
So you already answered my first question, where you're from, but you born and raised in Pineville?
Born and raised in Pineville. Went to Pineville High, was a graduate of Pineville High School, and graduated high school and wanted a job in radio. Man, I wanted to be Johnny Fever. And so I applied at all the radio stations in Pineville that summer, right when I graduated high school, and I happened to also apply for a job at the NBC affiliate, KLB, and they're the ones who called back first. So that's where I was. I worked there for a year and then moved to Lafayette.
Wow. Now, what is Pineville known for?
Crazy people. Yeah, it's the Central Hospital. That was what everybody always wanted to make fun of. We took our licks being from Pineville and having Central there. But yeah, that's the big thing.
So what was your earliest memory of like local television?
Oh gosh, it's perfect that I've ended up in television and that's where I've spent the vast majority of my professional career, is because I just watched a lot of it. I remember getting up in the morning as a kid and you'd watch your Saturday morning cartoons. There's thank goodness for YouTube now, because you can go back and you can catch a lot of those things.
Right.
And watching, gosh, remember, God, what was it? Tiger Vision. You remember Tiger Vision back in the day, so that
that's the only way you could watch some LSU, like if LSU is playing like Southern or something,
Yeah, and like one family member would buy the game on Tiger Vision, and everybody would have to go to that house. And so I remember doing that a lot as a kid. That was a big deal too.
So LSU house.
I'm not huge into sports. I follow my local teams. I love my local guys. Saints, LSU, mostly a UL fan, but I did go to UL. So,
right.
Other than that, though, they make their money, they do their pro thing, and that's great. But I only follow my local teams.
Well, you also follow what CBS is doing if they're making sure they have that NFL package.
Oh yeah,
during the fall.
Yeah. Well, everything does revolve around sales. I mean, we are at the end of the day at KLFY, we are a business. So yeah, you want to know exactly where your games are.
Speaking of, South Louisiana businesses and TV, what was your favorite South Louisiana business jingle?
Oh gosh. Roto-Rooter is always an easy one to come up with.
I don't know that one.
We call Roto-Rooter. That's the name.
Okay.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to think. There's so many good ones out there. And when you watch a lot of TV, they all stick.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was at News 15, my parents living in Covington, the only way they could watch is through like the digital streaming app. And it was only like the same 2 or 3 commercials over and over again. So like they were singing the Kirk's You Need a Butcher song every single morning. Like,
there he is. Yeah. But man, those old ones were great. I know a lot of businesses kind of got away from them. And, that makes sense too, because you really want to get your message out. You want to call to action. You want to let people know what your deal is or what your service is. And you can't always put that into a jingle, but man, for branding, you can always sing the lyrics to your favorite songs. Mm-hmm. Jingles will really, really do the work for you when you're just trying to do some branding.
It wasn't a jingle, but I grew up in the New Orleans area listening to WWL, and it was a tagline for River Parish Disposal. Our business stinks, but it's picking up.
Oh,
genius.
I hope somebody made their money off of that line. That's a good
They're still using it, so I think they do.
That's good.
Do you keep hot sauce in the fridge or outside of it?
Outside the fridge.
Outside the fridge.
Come on. Outside the fridge. On the countertop. It needs to be accessible. I'm not getting up going to the fridge.
Yeah, good point. What is your least favorite road to drive on in Lafayette?
Yes.
That's the first time we've gotten that one.
I haven't found one that's more fun than another. They all have their challenges. At least Camellia's pretty. Mm-hmm. But it does have its traffic challenges.
The most popular answer so far has been Pinhook.
Oh,
due to the narrowness.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely feel a little bit like Evel Knievel when you're going down Pinhook, especially if you're coming like from Broussard toward the police department, where it gets real narrow right there at Bendel. Oh man, you really grit your teeth. Sometimes you just squint and hope that you make the corner.
I felt that way for a long time until I just got back from Ireland, and now Pinhook looks like I-10.
Oh yeah.
It was some harrowing drives in the rural areas of Ireland, just also on the other side of the road. My parents are both having panic attacks. My brother and I are just like, praying that we're going to be all right.
Yeah, the roads are the width of your chair.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I definitely want to get our friend Tony Davern on the show, and who's from Ireland, and talk about my experience. And the final question of the South Louisiana starter pack: potato salad in or out of the gumbo?
Yes. Also, yes. It just depends. Now I'm one of those that may be a little weird too. I don't necessarily want the relish in the potato salad, but once I've got potato salad, there's going to be some on the plate. There's going to be some in the bowl. We're not being shy.
That's a very nuanced take, because everyone is so opinionated on it. And
really,
I've had it both ways, and it's like, however I get it served to me. I probably more often than not, I'm not sticking it in.
Yeah.
I like to, all foods for the most part, I like to do my salad first and then my carbs next and then get to the protein last.
So let's go with a really divisive question though: chicken and sausage or seafood? I know. This is a big one.
The popular answer on this side of the state would probably be chicken and sausage.
That's where I lean.
But my mom makes a gumbo every Christmas, and a few years ago she did a seafood gumbo for the first time. Usually it's chicken and sausage, but she did a seafood one, and the crab legs and the crab meat, all of it. I mean, it was to die for. But
when it's right, you can't beat it. But man, if you just get one, if just something's not quite right in that seafood gumbo, I'm out.
Yeah, is there anything worse than just a gumbo that just didn't hit?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so disappointing because, well, first of all, you put a lot of work into the darn thing.
Right.
And then if it's just not right, like, oh, God, I got to start over? So wait, my big question wasn't gumbo, but I know you're trying to be South Louisiana specific. My big question when I was trying to figure out who am I dealing with here is, when it comes to a birthday, is it ice cream cake or cookie cake?
Cookie cake.
Okay, good. See?
Yeah.
Because ice cream cake, there's never room in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
You got to like clear out room, or you got to be like my parents that have the apocalypse freezer in the back that you hope has room in, that you could eat out of that thing for a year and a half.
Filled to the brim with deer sausage.
And catfish and boudin. Oh yeah.
I actually, I'm really not a big fan of cake. And so growing up for my birthday every year, my mom ended up making a blueberry muffin cake. So it's shaped like a cake, in the form of a cake, but with blueberry muffin mix.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I need to talk to your mom about this. This sounds good.
It has become a fan favorite among the friends of the family and in the family as well. I think my brother actually gets it too. He liked it so much, but he actually likes cake. So
another friend of ours, John Arnold, that we used to work with, when I asked him that question, he had the best answer because he went cookie cake, but he really liked the icing, and his parents realized that you could order it completely iced from border to border. And that was his go-to birthday cake.
That explains why John used to be fat.
Well,
all right.
Wow. Okay. So moving on.
Now you know the type of content you're getting on your platform there, Chris. The next segment is called The Story That Made You. Different elements about you, Chris Cook, that kind of made you. And this is kind of an open-ended, tough question, but I'm interested in see how you take it. Tell me a story that explains exactly who you are. Right. This is what I was expecting when
yeah. Gosh, you didn't even let me study in it before.
Study yourself.
Yeah, well, at least give me a chance to make something up about the time the bear broke into the camp and you had to fight it.
Was there something that happened formative in your maybe your childhood, your teen years, maybe in college, that kind of led you to who you are now?
I think the big thing was working right out of high school and realizing that it was kind of fun to work in television because I've done it for so long now. But I worked in news, and so I would go around and shoot all the news content on like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up at KLB, and it was fun, shooting high school football and going around shooting whatever was going on, and you had access into events and parties and people and working in news for a while too. I can't think of anything else out there that exposes you to a more diverse cross-section of people and careers and points of view than being a journalist.
Yeah.
Going out, because you will learn so much just having conversations with people about what they're doing on any given day or in any given subject matter. And you get a little taste of all of that. And so just getting right out of high school and working in something that exposed me to a lot of different people, different points of view, and just gave you access to a larger world was really formative. I mean, also when you're out there, you kind of got to depend on yourself. You got to learn what you're doing and make sure you come back with the story, but you also might not have anybody to give you a hand, and so like that was pretty make or break.
They teach you whenever you're a reporter, the last thing you do before you leave is when you're interviewing someone. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to make sure that was said?
What else did you want me to know that maybe I didn't ask you?
Right, and that's where you, to your point, I get a lot of the personality and the point of views from different people whenever I was a reporter or an MMJ, and and my favorite thing as a reporter that I missed whenever I got to the desk was just going on an assignment every day and driving to who knows where Acadiana, getting lost in cane fields and whatnot, and really learning there. That's really when I fell in love with Acadiana, was kind of the small town experience all around it.
And dude, my nickname when I first got down here was Magellan, because I was constantly lost. Our assignment editor would say, "Oh, just run to this place in Karen Crow," and I'd be like, "Okay, where is that?" You get these directions. It was before GPS on your phone and stuff.
Yeah,
we had the Metro key.
I had that.
You'd page through the Metro key and then try to write down directions. You got there and you'd get lost. Now, when you started to figure it out, man, there were summers we're driving the back roads. I knew where every single snowball stand was, because that was where you went for refreshment on a hot summer day. You're out there running and gunning from one story to another. You've sweated through one shirt. You're trying to put on another, and man, that snowball would hit.
There was one time, I had my phone, of course, technology, but there was one time shooting Friday Night Football. I went out to Eunice and my phone died.
Oh,
and,
no.
And I'm in the oldest station car that they had. And I had to get back to put in the highlights for the Friday night recap. I don't know how I did it, but I just kept driving around. I was an Eagle Scout, so I had, I've got some sense of direction and some common sense skills. And so I just kept looking at signs and kept trying to meander my way through. Eventually I found I-10 and I was like, east, head east. But that was a little harrowing.
You just didn't realize you were in Hammond.
Right. Yeah.
I remember our sports director when I first started down here, Mike Roebuck. Man, he was fun. Great sports director. He gave me the best advice. He was like, look, when you go down to Abbeville, you shoot that first game, then you're going to go to Delcombe, then you're going to go to Erath, and you're going to go to Delcombe. He was like, don't worry about directions. It'll be dark. Just follow the stadium lights.
Yeah.
And he was right. You could just follow the stadium lights through the cane fields until you popped out at a football stadium.
You still got some of that in some of those smaller areas too.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I worked in college briefly at Delta Media as a producer for a morning show for a guy named The Professor, which I got fired from there. It's at 6 a.m. and I was having too much fun in college still. So
I'm listening. What's happening here? Yeah. How many days were you late to work?
Twice. I missed 2 shifts. Just completely slept in.
He's a lot more mature now. It's okay.
Yeah, I had to get up every single morning on the morning show. But I remember listening to the same radio commercial over and over again. And then, I was still listening to 103.7 The Game for local sports talk, and which I think is now ESPN, something, Southwest ESPN. But I still hear the same commercial. It's for tractor trailers. And I believe it's your voice.
Oh, Lord. Is it like Tibbs Trailers?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's probably me. Okay. Yeah, they were a client at KLFY a long time ago, and anytime we needed somebody to voice a commercial, you'd go in and you'd try to make it a little different. You'd be a little higher up, or you'd be a little lower down, or, you might want to put a little bit of an accent on that. So, you'd try to just make it a little bit different, because there were only a handful of people who were willing to go in and read a script cold and cut commercial audio. So, yeah, that might still be out there.
Yeah. So you're doing all these different roles within the broadcast industry. What made you want to get into management?
I've always just kind of done the thing that was in front of me. So like I was a photographer. I would fill in on the assignment desk briefly from time to time. I when I got out of news, I started working in the marketing department, so we would do a lot of the news promotions and teases that would be done. Then I got into commercial production and the marketing director at Channel 10 for a while. Then we realized the internet wasn't going away. This wasn't some weird fad. The website was going to be a big deal, so we started taking it seriously. We built the mobile app, we built the website, and it wasn't just me. We had teams of people, but I would always be like, yeah, I'll work on that. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's go do that too. So I just kept moving from spot to spot, department to department, ended up in sales at some point. And tell you what, that has been the biggest thing that has helped me along the way, is having been in lots of different jobs, different positions, having different things that you're responsible for. And trying not to shy away from it. There are days when it feels like a grind. Any job's got those days you love and the days you hate. But at some point you make peace with it. You say, you know what, I'm going to make it a good day, and I'm not going to say no. I'm going to say yes to everything that comes my way, and I'm just going to learn it.
Sure.
And so when you get that kind of experience that's so diverse across something that's inside one business or one industry, man, when you do end up in some sort of management role, the job, I won't say it's easier, but you can be more confident in what's happening around you because you're familiar with it. You know the difference between the things making the noise it's supposed to and the things making the noise because it's broken.
What's the thing you're most proud of to see on a performance review about yourself?
Just that the station is doing well. I mean, there is nothing about KLFY is about me. Nothing about KLFY is about one person, one talent, or one thing. There are very few things that are as collaborative as a local television newsroom. And I mean that, like maybe an aircraft carrier. You know, but like you've got MMJs and journalists going out collecting news. Then they've got to write it, edit it. There's a producer who's making sure that that's right. Then there's a director who's making sure that the graphics are in correctly and things are spelled right. And that's just one show. And then the anchors have to go in and people have to code what the cameras are supposed to do. And, you know, the automation is great, but somebody still has to oversee that it's working correctly, that it was coded right, that's going to do the right job. And so, you know, that's just one newscast, and do that 5 newscasts, 6 newscasts a day.
And that's not to mention the people who work in mass control, making sure that they're coming on air at the right time.
Yeah.
And with the commercials, the people in sales who have sold the ability to run the newscasts to begin with.
The traffic department making sure it's the right commercials. The sales department selling it to make enough money to keep the lights on. It's, you know, the assignments editor making sure everything that's happening in 9 parishes is accounted for, and we've got to go out and shoot it. And how much did we get?
All these different roles. What's the general manager even doing at this point?
Custodial mostly. You know, it's all support. You know, a lot of times, most days and most ways, it's not about technical stuff. It's not about whether or not the computer system is working correctly or whatnot. It's more about making sure the people are okay. You're managing the human condition. Some people are happy and they're doing a great job, and you want to tell them that. You need to know that. You need to be plugged in, watching. You need to be aware. And you need to be accessible. And if people are struggling, you need to know that too, because you need to find out if you can give them a hand.
We'll be right back to the conversation in just a little bit, but first, I want to hear from our friend John Williams with Love of People Nonprofit. John is a friend of the show. He's always welcome here at AcadianaCasts. Some might say he is the magic behind AcadianaCasts Presents, but that's neither here nor there, folks. What we're talking about is the Blue Monday Jam coming up on June the 9th, and this is a special one. John, real quick, just remind folks who maybe this is the first time seeing this, what Blue Monday is.
Blue Monday is a very special event for our whole community. We're approaching our 10th year, and what we do is we use the event to raise awareness for the needs of aging retired musicians and artists throughout Acadiana. You know, understanding that these people dedicated their lives to our culture through their music. When they get older, they're not able to play as much, and we like to make sure that they have some of those basic care needs in order to keep living a good life. Yeah,
and the Blue Monday Jam is one of the ways that we do that. We've been having it at the Grouse Room, beautiful downtown Lafayette. From 6 to 9, you can check out some of the best music. $20 gets you in the door. You get a blue plate special, typically red beans, which is what else you can eat on a Monday in South Louisiana, then some red beans. But this specific Blue Monday Jam on June 9th it's a special little twist to it. Tell the folks about it.
We had a wonderful honor working with Joel Savoy and Valcourt Records, and we played a small role in the Clifton Chenier project. It's his 100-year birthday, and they produced this beautiful album with so many talented artists involved. And this has been great to be a part of that project. But Joel reached out and in order to assist Love of People in raising some money for Blue Monday mission, he's gifting us a signed copy of the vinyl record. And we're going to be auctioning that record off in hopes to raise some more money, and that way we continue our mission.
Yeah, that's what better way to do that. And, of course, to honor Clifton as well, we're going to do our little part on the stage the best way we know how. And we'll have we don't want to give out the full lineup just yet.
Yeah, but some very special guests. I mean, Lee Alenzino, of course, you know, he's one of the Blue Monday All-Stars, but he also is a very intricate bass player on the record itself. And I can't wait to really release all the guys that's coming to help us do this tribute to Clifton Chenier. And thank you for Valcourt Records and allowing us the opportunity to work with them.
Well, you can follow the Blue Monday concert series. It's a page on Facebook, kind of see when we're going to be playing all the time, not just on June 9th. A great page to follow. You can also go to loveofpeople.org to keep up with all the things happening with Love of People and the Blue Monday mission. John, anything else that you wanted to touch on before we end this little conversation?
Just, getting everybody to come back out to the grouse room every second Monday of the month. This June 9th is definitely going to be a very special show. We have different people coming in for the jam. And what better way than to celebrate your culture by participating?
All right. Well, that's enough from John. Let's get back to the real episode right now. I feel like you kind of answered it, but what do most people that you talk to outside of this industry not realize about local TV working behind the scenes?
Depends on who you're talking to. So, there's news gets painted with one color,
right?
With a very broad brush,
especially nowadays.
Right. It's all negative, or, it's skewed to the left. It's skewed to the right. It's fake. It's lies. It's this, it's that. There's a lot of things that I have an issue with like cable news where some of it is partisan. It's very specifically designed to be left or right. And that's their job. The national news is they're covering a globe, and they've got 30 minutes a night to talk about what's going on. Your local newscasts, though, they should be about what's happening here locally. And it's not about big ideas on the national or global stage. It's about what's happening in your neighborhood. It's about what's happening in your school boards and your city council. It's about your neighbor that happens to be running for an office or for a seat. We all live here. Right. We're your neighbors. We live here. We have a stake in it. We care. It's important to us that what we're covering matters. And not every story is going to matter to everyone every day. There may be something happening in Iberia Parish that's really important today, and somebody in Evangeline is going to see that story and kind of go, it's not about me. And that's okay. But there's going to be another day when something else is on that does matter. And that's where we hit our sweet spot. That's where our responsibility to our viewers and the people that live here is that we need to be covering things that matter, trying to put them into context that makes some sense, and helping people understand the world around them a little better so that they can make better decisions with their day.
Do you see any changes as far as the form of it? Inside baseball, the top of the show is called the A block, which is your most important, prevalent heading news. Do you see that form changing at all? Or have you seen it change over the years? And then the lighter news, of course, at the end, mixed between with some weather and sports.
It's a tried and true format. They always say don't bury the lead. If you're going to get somebody's attention, you want to tell them the most amazing thing first off the bat. There is a little bit of a science of attention that goes into it. Will it change? Yeah, it changes every day. A lot of those things like A block and C block and then weather and then sports and then kickers at the end of a newscast, those things are guidelines. But depending on what's going on, you throw the rundown out and you start over.
Right. Yes.
You may end with the biggest story of the day because it just happened.
Sure.
And you got a live truck that rolled out there and a crew that's learning things in real time. And it's important to get that information out there. Be responsible. Don't go out and talk about what you think you see. Talk about facts. Talk about what's really happening, because it's way more important to get the information right and to be accurate than it is to be first.
Now, this is an interesting question to propose to someone who works for KLFY, which has a rich history in this, but outside of news, do you feel like
70th anniversary this year, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, 70th anniversary.
That's crazy. Do you feel like local stations have a responsibility to preserve culture or just cover the news?
No, absolutely, because we should be tied into the community. It's not just about headlines. It's about what's happening at your church, what's happening at your community center. So what's happening with the population, with the culture that they have. One of the best things about moving to Lafayette, I joke, I part-time grew up down here. I had family in Lafayette. We'd come down and we'd see them for Downtown Alives on Friday. I'd get out of school and we'd get in the car and we'd come down. We were here for Mardi Gras. We were here for Festival Acadiana, Festival International. I part-time grew up in Lafayette. In fact, here at the visitor center, that was a place you always had to stop because you had a clean restroom. And as a kid with me and my cousins, if they were coming too, we always had to run out down the boardwalk down here and look at the fish and the the ducks and, and feed. I mean, that was what you did when you came into town, because this was the welcome center. And so the culture of this area is, and I know everybody says the same thing, it's very unique. But it is. I tell this to new reporters that come into town that aren't from here. So you might get somebody who's from Texas or, from Indiana or St. Louis or something that come in and they maybe have had a job before and, okay, now I'm in Cajun country. And then you start to tell them, yeah, but it's a bit more nuanced. The accent in Opelousas is different from the accent in New Iberia. Right. Which is different from the one in Crowley, which is different from Brobridge. Like, every community is so special. They've got their own culture, they've got their history, and they're proud of it. They know it, and they want to perpetuate it and hang on to it. And that's part of the reason why Friday nights, and we're in the middle of the season right now, we do road shows. We go out to, I'm going to butcher this, it's like 18 festivals on Fridays, and we bring the production trailer and the live trucks and, multiple cameras. We go out and we do it upright. We bring everything out there, and we're there at 4, 4:35, and 6 o'clock. And then we have taped content that we run at 10, but that's because festivals are so important. It's the culture of that area. It's what they're most proud of. It's what they have going on. It's economics, it's people, it's history, it's everything in those towns. So I think we have the Frog Festival coming up next.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember the day of that, but yeah, it's got the Frog Festival coming up. Of course.
Fact check.
Of course, we got. Yeah, do your job, Cody. Of course, we got Festival International. Seems to be everyone's favorite.
And that was the big one. Like, I remember growing up, that was the one, like, you'd go to your parents, Mom, Dad, are we going to Festival International this year? Well, I don't know. We'll have to see what the weather looks like. Man, when you could get down to Festival International, man, that was the cool thing.
So whenever you were working in Indiana, did you feel that absence?
Oh yeah, you miss it immediately. Now, Indiana's great. It actually has 4 whole seasons. We get 1.5, and I'm proud of that. But they have all 4 seasons. It's pretty. It's the Midwest. Folks are very much like down here. They're friendly. They're welcoming. But it's not here. They have concerts and festivals, and they have things that happen too. But it ain't home. And it sure isn't like going out to the Crawfish Festival.
Right. Speaking of festivals, the Frog Festival is May 9th.
Okay, yeah. All right, I think that's our next one.
May 9th through the 10th.
KLFY will be out at the Frog Festival Friday from 4 to 6:30. So come by and wave at us.
How has being a Pineville boy, how has being in the hub city changed you? Or is that just the natural changes of getting into adulthood and life?
It's where I definitely got into my adult living, and some days your coworkers, and some days your job when you're working like that.
You can rip it.
All good.
It's all good.
This segment brought to you by Coca-Cola.
If my producer's not drinking on the job, it's not my producer. Damn it.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, sometimes they need you to go out there, and you got to be self-sufficient, kind of throw you in the deep end, but you learn and you get good at stuff. And if you take it seriously, I mean, it's TV news, it's, if you're not having fun, Chuck used to say this, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Most days ought to be pretty good days when you're working in TV.
Let's move on to kind of a new segment. Well, they're all new. They're new to this.
We're breaking them in.
Yeah,
we're
breaking them in. Yeah. I have this one temporarily titled Acadiana Customs and Curiosities, TV edition. What is the most South Louisiana thing that you've ever covered?
Oh, gosh. The Congrès Mondial Acadian. So what year? I can't remember what year that was, but I know it was a big family reunion of all the South Louisiana families, and then your family members that were still in France and Belgium. And it was a big family reunion. We invited people. It was a big festival, and everything's going on from Morgan City all the way through Jennings. And I know that was a huge thing that I believe the International Center here in Lafayette helped spearhead. Yeah, I'm going to blank on the year. It was probably 98, 99, maybe 2000, somewhere around there. Hedging my bets, I'll just name all the years. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was something that was definitely an eye-opening thing, because one, it was large in scale. Yeah, it was everybody's, Cajun roots or Acadian family roots, and then having that be a big tourist draw in here was a lot of fun.
What are the unique challenges in covering weather in South Louisiana?
Oh God, be ready for anything. We're a really weird market for national scale stories. I tell people that come into the station this a lot too. Every 3 to 5 years, the eyes of the nation turn to Lafayette. And it may be a big news story. It may be something really negative. We've had murders and killings and those kinds of things too. The
grand shooting, the crazy school board in Vermilion Parish.
Yeah,
those fun folks.
True. I mean, and then you have weather that comes in, and then you have fun stuff that goes on that pulls national attention. One of the biggest supporters that we have locally that helps put the positive stories out there at the national scale is David Begnaud.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see that he is able to keep this region in front of people
in the national spotlight,
and usually in a very positive way. It's really nice to see the work that he's done.
Or if there is a tough angle, a tough story that he has to report, I've always seen he does come at it with an appreciation of like, this is my home first, and then here's the story.
Doesn't shy away from it at all. He loves it, he lives it, and he owns it. And that's something that I hope sets the rest of us up to make us look a little more polished. It's nice to be able to put that polished foot forward to the nation too, and that it's not just the hurricanes and the guy in the airboat going down Highway 90. They get to see a little bit something else too. So your question in being the challenges of weather though are be ready for anything, especially hurricanes.
Now, of course, it's always better to be prepared, and you guys have almost an obligation to do so. And I imagine, especially as general manager, you have to field these calls of, if there's something that comes on over the air that you got to be worried about during a sports event or something or appointment television, which is less and less nowadays, but there's still, especially with sports and politics, but you see that ticker at the top of the screen or the cut-ins, and you get the angry phone calls like, get this off my TV. I want to watch Judge Judy.
Well, you're right. It's usually usually around sports. Mm-hmm. So if you've got the Sunday night game, or it's around Young and the Restless. Look, soap operas are serious business, man.
Don't get in front of my soaps.
Don't interrupt the soap opera. We understand, we hear you, and we do our best not to have to do that. But yeah, I mean, most of the time, if somebody calls and if anybody calls, I call them back if I miss them. If they call in, I'll take the phone call. Because I want to hear what upset you. I want to know what's the problem. If there's something I can do to fix it, I will absolutely make sure that we as a station fix it. And if it's something if it's a hard decision we had to make to preempt something, cover something, or move a show around and it messes up what you happen to be watching, it may be because New Iberia is safe, but Basile had a tornado blow through. Mm-hmm. And helping people along the path of that storm sometimes trumps the entertainment value.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's safety. 360 days out of the year, we hope everybody's happy and safe and able to watch whatever they want for entertainment. But those other 5, when it gets a little dicey, we're going to cut into programming and we're going to do our best to let people know what's happening, where it's happening, and hopefully give them the right information to stay safe.
But Chris, technology is so good nowadays. If I'm living in New Iberia, why do you have to cut in for me if it's only happening in Basile?
Hey man, that's the beauty of broadcast television. It goes out to everybody. We're all seeing it.
What is the most, well, before I get to this question, you mentioned we talk about the calls and whatnot. Has that been mostly replaced with social media comments?
I really don't think so. I think social media, and I have a soapbox when it comes to social media. I think social media
here's a platform.
Is a place where people enjoy getting out, and whether they're having a good time or they're having a difficult time, it's a place for them to voice an opinion. It's easily accessible. So typing something out really quickly and throwing it out there onto social media is easy. It doesn't cost very much. Usually if somebody's making a phone call to me, they have a real problem.
And more often than not, what is the most likely reason why someone would call the station and say, y'all got that wrong?
Well, if we get something wrong, first of all, I need to hear from you because we need to fix it if we got something wrong. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, most of the time what we're hearing about, believe it or not, it comes down to technical issues. Mm. I had major storm blew through and there was a bunch of lightning, and TVs they don't operate the same. They're the big screen on your wall is a big computer now. And so they're all a little bit different, and the way that they handle audio or video is a little bit different. And so, your TV may have taken a power surge and switched over to the Spanish language channel. And so you got to go back in and change your audio preference, or our signal might be a little weird. And so, or we lost power at the transmitter. By the time we got it back on, your TV needs to rescan to grab our signal again. And so used to be easy. You turn the thing on and it just worked. Now we have to take a few steps, and we have to work with these big computers on our walls to make them pull the signal in.
The one I heard the most back when I was in news was the pronunciation of last names. That could be a regionally specific thing as well.
Yeah, I would love for somebody to teach a class to my reporters. They work really hard to get them right, and for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. Every now and then we'll say the wrong thing, and when we do that, that's another superpower. That's another advantage that local media has over things like social media. When you have a problem and we messed it up, call us, we'll fix it.
Yeah.
When somebody messes something up on social media, who do you call? If something's terrible that was put up, or there's a big lie or something objectionable that's on Facebook, you don't call Mr. Facebook. You don't call Zuckerberg and he immediately responds to your issue. That's what we do, because we're responsible to the viewers.
Well, let's move forward and really talk about this big exciting thing that's happening that AcadianaCasts is blessed to be a part of. There is no segment title for this. The future of local TV, though, the KLFY Plus Spotlight. First off, what is it, and why now?
KLFY Plus. So what we're doing is we're building out a CTV app. So it's going to be released on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You'll be able to go in and you can download an app that is KLFY, and it's called KLFY Plus. And so it's going to have all of your local live newscasts. We're going to have some syndicated programming that comes in, news programming from our partner, News Nation, but we're not going to do a lot of that. What we're doing is we're going to open this space up in CTV, which if you've got a smart TV, you're going to be able to grab this app and pull it up and watch it. And there'll be, just like your regular KLFY signal, there'll be a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week live stream, a signal that you can watch. And what I wanted to do when we started looking at this is we wanted to make it as much about Acadiana as we possibly could. I don't want to bring in syndicated programming from out of the DMA, from out of the area. I don't want to be begging for things from sister stations in other markets. There will be a place for some of that, but the bulk of what we wanted to do was give a platform and a spotlight to folks like AcadianaCasts. There's a handful of you guys that are in this podcasting and this video podcasting space that have got started and made a go of it, and you're sticking around, and you've got a great audience and you've got a great product. And if I can give you a larger platform by being part of KLFY Plus, then come on. And so you'll be able very soon, after we launch at the end of April, to go download the KLFY Plus app. Again, that's Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. And you'll be able to go in and watch AcadianaCast. You'll have them there as well.
Very cool for me and others, but for you guys as well.
I'm proud to have you with us, man. We've known each other for several years now. I love the show that you've put together.
Thank you.
I watch them. I watch them consistently too, and I'm proud to say that you'll be part of KLFY Plus.
I love it. Back to local TV, but
full circle.
Really, yeah, that's life, isn't it? But why do you? Is this something that other stations across the country are going to be doing, you think, and are doing?
Yeah. So KLFY is owned by Nexstar. So our parent company is the largest owner of broadcast television stations in the United States. And with that comes a lot of support and a lot of advantages when you get into these new kinds of things. Weather apps, it's always updated. We have something new. This KLFY Plus app that's coming out, that's because we have the full support of our parent company to say, here are resources in how to make this thing happen. Here are larger markets like KTLA in Los Angeles who have already done it. call them up and ask them, how did they build it? What are the best practices? What did they do that people responded to best? So we don't have to make it up from scratch, but we can also learn from what they've done right and from where they've stumbled. And so it's important to, one, meet your viewers where they are. And people are still watching antenna TV. They're still watching broadcast TV. They're on their apps, they're on their phones, their tablets, and now hopefully they're going to be on KLFY Plus as well. It's where people are watching things, and so we're going to put a lot of Acadiana stories out there.
Yeah, this seems like a way to meet millennials where they are, and Gen Z, the ones who are watching TikTok,
and my parents watch them.
Yeah,
but my parents have a smart TV. That's all they see now.
It's how do you compete with someone in their living room who's like Brit's cooking, she's got millions of followers, or lady in the bathroom, from here as well, millions of followers just dancing in the bathroom. How do you, because you're not only just trying to hold people's attention, but also getting information and news out, which I do think we'll have an inherent need for that no matter where we are in society. And as we talked about earlier, there has been this push against the media, but that local news gets kind of lumped in with what's happening in corporate news and 24-hour news cycles and whatnot. But is this kind of that stepping stone to kind of like meet that next generation? And
yeah, it's meeting your audience where they are, where they're watching things. I'm a staunch believer that you age into caring about certain things. Like right now, you're unmarried, don't have kids.
Right.
He's available, ladies. So like you don't care about what happens at the school board, but one day that may be very important to you. There are certain things that are important to us at different stages in our lives when we age into certain things being important, and it mattering and it affecting our daily life. As you get there, I mean, the lady that dances in her kitchen is great. It's fun. But sometimes I also need to know stuff.
Right.
And so that's where hopefully people will turn back to their local TV stations. I firmly believe that there has not been a time where it has been more important for our industry to be good at what we do.
Have you seen in this market, and we don't have to disparage any other competitor or whatever, which I don't think you would on air, but have you seen this national trend affect this market of getting away from local news or just news in general?
You see it and it trends. It kind of comes and goes. Some of that depends on who your leadership is in a newsroom or at a TV station. Some of it comes down to resource allocation. I hate to say it, but you can always tell when there are a lot of people on vacation because you see more national stories in a local newscast because, there's still something good that's going on. It just happens to be at the national level. And it's okay if somebody needed to take a day off. People can't work 24/7.
So KLFY Plus, you're kind of creating the almost YouTube or Netflix of local news and information, and probably entertainment as well. I mean, this I classify as entertainment or valuetainment. We're not making stuff up. You're getting some value out of it, but we're having fun along the way as well. And with KLFY Plus, and getting to know you, working with you back in the past, we were kind of working together on bringing this secret studio sessions, which was, bringing local musicians.
Those were fun. Yeah.
Is you have plans for things like that with KLFY Plus, or what are some other content ideas beyond this genius of a show? Yeah. Do you have planned for KLFY Plus down the line once this thing is kind of humming?
Man, we are wide open. The core of our focus is just going to be local. As long as it's local, it's likely going, and as long as it can be consistent, it will likely find a place on KLFY Plus. It may be something that we spearhead internally to cover or create. It may be something where we find another partner, which is also great. We definitely want to protect our brand, and our brand being that you can turn us on, you can trust us, you know where we stand, you know where to find us and contact us when you need us. So we also want to make sure that who we're working with are good folks. And so we're glad that you're doing it.
Hey,
but yeah, I mean, as the space evolves, can we wait till the,
no, it's fine.
As the space evolves, it'll be infotainment. It'll be strictly entertainment stuff. I would love to see more local bands being able to have more than just 2.5 minutes on Pasta 2.
Right.
Or Meet Your Neighbor to come in and play and talk and
that's why I got into podcasting, Chris, because I got tired of trying to tell a story. I'm long-winded, but I'm tired of telling a story within a minute and a half. And there's so many
minute and a half's a luxury in news.
Right?
Minute
Yeah, that's
10,
true. Yeah,
you
minute
know,
10.
like that's your day is a minute 10.
Yeah, no, I think Wally Pierce, shout out Wally, was just he was just like, whatever, Carter's gonna do a minute and a half.
Weather's got to go short today.
Yeah, I don't like. Sorry, it's pouring outside, but you know, I went to a crawfish farm that day. Well, man, I'm really excited about KLFY Plus. I'm excited to be a part of it. I've got so many different content ideas outside of the show that would
Bring
it.
Yeah.
From stand-up comedy specials to cooking to music. You know, I want to be feeding you. I think.
You know what? The more creative the idea, the better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes. And that's, like you said, it's going to be available on like Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple.
Yep.
Very cool. I mean, those are the main three anyway, really.
That's it. And we're looking at expanding. So you'll be able to see video on demand, and you'll be able to so you can call up the individual stories you're interested in, but you'll also have that broadcast TV experience in a digital stream. So.
That's awesome. The future, it's here. And that launches when?
End of the month, end of April. So start looking for the promos. We're gonna start pushing it hard so that you know the day and the time. As soon as you can go download it, we'll be asking you to go grab that app and start watching.
Right. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, you know, I'm kind of changing the format of this, and so the first few episodes that you'll see on KLFY Plus from our end will be some of our older episodes, some of the good ones that we've had that are evergreen, that are kind of timeless. And really excited to kind of get that in front of y'all's audience and kind of grow with you guys.
Bring it, man. It's going to be awesome.
Well, Chris, I appreciate your time. We have a closing segment that I'm calling the Go Bag, but of course spelled the way that you think it would be spelled in South Louisiana, GEAUX. If you left Louisiana tomorrow, what are the 3 things that you'd bring with you that would feel like home?
Oh, gosh.
In your go bag.
Yeah, first and foremost, I would need the big plastic container of cracklins from Bio's in Broussard. When we lived in Indiana, the parents would ship those up. Believe it or not, they pack great. You can ship those across a couple of time zones, and they open up and eat just fine.
Good to know.
Gosh, I don't know. You got to have a festival T-shirt. Okay. Because somebody's going to ask you about it. Somebody needs to know what that symbol means.
Yeah, you got to wrap something clothing wise.
100%. And outside of that, you know, it would have to be something from. It'd have to be something more personal. You know, it'd have to be something family related.
Okay.
Just to tie you back to home.
Yeah. Well, man, Chris, you're a great man. I loved working with you. I'm excited to work with you again. You know, I'm sure some of your employees would say differently, you being a good man, but depending on the temperament of that day or the newscast or what went wrong.
They're allowed. They're allowed.
No, but I'm once again excited to work with you. I appreciate you coming on last minute to come sit on the show and to kind of really, this is the episode we're announcing kind of all this in this partnership, and excited to work with you. I keep repeating myself, but I'm just so excited, Chris.
Yeah. Well, and hey, you know, as this thing takes off too, you know, some of the other folks at the station can come tell their story. You're welcome to, folks, because we got a lot of people and a lot of stories. A lot of ground to cover. So you know, anything you want to do with KLFY, we're on board, brother.
Well, the way we have ended the show in the past, and I'm going to keep it going, even though we've kind of changed the format of the show, is I ask my guests to end every episode by looking at their single cam right there, and it could be a word, a phrase, anything that you would like to end, a song lyric, anything, a plug, whatever you want to end the episode with to impart on the internet world at large, and of course, Acadiana in South Louisiana.
You know, you really should send a study guide out.
I think I definitely will now.
Yeah. It would be good to have, and you don't need cue cards, but you know, just a little forethought.
Well, you lose some of the authenticity, you know.
Whew, yeah. All right. So a word or a phrase to tie it all in a bow. Like I said earlier, you know, if whatever you're doing, you know, decide that you're going to do it well. And make the most out of every opportunity that comes your way, because you never know where that new skill is going to pay off.
Hey guys, it's Carter. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of AcadianaCasts Presents, the flagship show of AcadianaCasts, a full-service content production company based right here in South Louisiana. If you'd like to get involved in podcasts, or maybe your business needs some help creating some social media reels, maybe you already have a podcast or developing content and you just can't get over that hump, reach out to us by going to AcadianaCasts.com, find our full list of services, and find out how we can help get your voice heard today. That's AcadianaCasts.com. And if you like the show, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you're checking the show out. We'd love to hear from you. Give us some love. And if you're watching on KLFY Plus, be sure to check out some of our older content and check out some of the other content, the great content that they have for you right here on KLFY Plus. Reach out to us on social media, follow us, share our videos, let us know who you'd like to see on the show next. And don't forget to be kind and have fun. See you next time.